Number 10. Maria Licciardi. Where is a woman's place in the mob? Does she even have one? Is the rise in women's involvement in organized crime revealing the hidden, darker side of the fairer sex? Apart from an increased presence in the legitimate workplace, it appears like a reworking of the Mafia's traditional male attitudes, only cloaked in the guise of a woman. Here is the tale of a Mafia boss lady Maria, who is popularly known as the Godmother. She was a crime boss for 8 years until she was arrested and put behind bars. She was responsible for extortion rackets, drug trafficking, and prostitution. Their gang was also responsible for killing sex slaves who were of no use to them anymore. Though she is incarcerated, it is believed that she still gives commands to the clan. Maria Licciardi led the Camorra crime syndicate in Naples, Italy from 1993 to 2001 before her empire started to unravel. She went into hiding when a dispute over heroin among groups resulted in killing as many as 100 people in Naples, and she was added to the 30 most wanted Italians list. The extortion of local business owners, drug trafficking, and the infiltration of public work contracts are traditional sources of illicit revenue for the Naples-based Camorra, one of Italy's major crime syndicates. The 70-year-old Italian mafia boss, who was hoping to visit her daughter, was arrested at the Ciampino airport in Rome. She was cuffed by the Italian military police while waiting in the queue leading to the check-in desk. She didn't bat an eyelash when the officers blocked her. Number 9. KD Kempanna, aka Cyanide Mallika. Women are deadly. Whether you want to take that in a good way or bad is completely up to you. While some can kill you with just a smile, there is a handful who take the word deadly more literally. Here is a story of a gruesome female serial killer who went on a killing spree. This merciless woman was known to murder her victims by poisoning them with cyanide. News of the mysterious murders was coming from different places in the country. The killer apparently targeted women in the same manner and gave hints of an elusive serial killer. The killer was targeting only those married women who were still wearing their wedding dresses, and all these crimes took place within 7 to 8 months. Here is how she worked out her plan. The killer would visit temples near Bangalore, India, posing as a devotee to keep an eye out for women who were in distress. Having spotted one, she would then try to gain their confidence by hearing out their issues and advising them to perform a special puja to ward off the evil from their lives. Little did they know that they were already dealing with evil. She used to pretend to be a good woman and convinced her, quote, devotees to meet her at secluded spots, after which she would poison and rob them. She chose her victims well. They had to be married and from wealthy families. The woman in question, Kempanna, was India's first convicted female serial killer who killed 6 women. She was caught when she tried to peddle off jewelry that she stole from one of her victims. She was sentenced to death, which was later reduced to life imprisonment, because crime has no gender. Number 8. Jolly Thomas. If you thought the previous tale about the cyanide serial killing was gruesome, check this one out. This woman killed 6 family members and was planning to kill 2 more kids. Jolly is accused of murdering 6 members of her family over the course of 14 years because they owned family property. Jolly confessed to all the murders, including her first husband Roy, her father-in-law, mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law's brother and kids in the family. The news sent shocking waves across India in 2019. The suspicion started after Roy's death, Jolly's first husband, in 2011. Jolly allegedly didn't waste time in trying to get the family property for herself. In fact, the procedures for the transfer were almost complete. However, Roy's brother Roho realized this and transferred all ownership rights back to his father. When Jolly brought it up again in 2017, the brother looked at Roy's post-mortem report again and felt suspicious of Jolly's behavior. The family soon filed a confidential complaint with the police. The killer had got the idea of using cyanide after reading deaths related to cyanide in a newspaper article. after which she had done a lot of research on how to use cyanide. The cyanide serial killer currently resides in Kozhikode District Jail and has been charged with murder, conspiracy, destroying of evidence, and forgery. Number 7. Griselda Blanco, aka La Dama de la Mafia, the Lady of the Mafia. So we introduced you to another godmother earlier in this video, and now here comes the cocaine godmother. In other words, Mafia boss Lady Griselda Blanco, who is popularly known as the Cocaine Godmother or Queen of Cocaine. This fearless, uncompromising, and ruthless Colombian queenpin ruled the cocaine trade. The concept or the trend of motorbike drive-by shooting was made popular by this deadly criminal. According to reports, she gave orders for more than 200 murders while carrying on her drug business. During her reign of terror, she made numerous enemies throughout Colombia and the United States, and she would do anything to eliminate them. Shopping mall shootings, drive-by motorbike hit squads, home invasions. All in all, Griselda Blanco was responsible for up to 250 murders. It was her second husband who introduced Blanco into the cocaine trade. Blanco had an ingenious way to smuggle cocaine into New York. She had young women fly on planes with cocaine hidden in their underwear, which Blanco had specifically designed. Upon the death of her second husband, she earned a new title, the Black Widow. More importantly to Blanco, she was now in full control of her drug empire. Blanco was merciless. If you didn't pay on time, you and your family were eliminated. If she didn't want to pay you, you were assassinated. If she perceived that you had slighted her, you were bumped off. Blanco lived lavishly. Homes, expensive cars, a private jet. She had it all. Nothing was off limits. She hosted parties frequented by a who's who of the drug world. Despite her luck, she had made too many enemies, and in 2012, she was shot twice in a motorbike drive-by shooting in Medellin, Colombia. Number 6. Genene Jones. As a pediatric nurse, the main duties would be providing critical and preventive care to infants, children, and adolescents. But this is one of the most heartless women to have ever lived in the world of medicine. Genene Jones, a pediatric nurse who killed almost 46 babies in 1977. She's also known as the Angel of Death, and she carried out her murders while the infants were put under her care and used injections to induce heart attacks that proved lethal for the babies. Jones would inject digoxin, heparin, and other drugs to create a medical situation in a patient. She had meant to revive them, but many children did not survive the damage inflicted initially by the poisons. Most children died due to heavy doses. Jones aroused suspicion in Caryville near San Antonio when a doctor found a puncture in a bottle of newly diluted succinylcholine. A baby died after a routine checkup and some shots. Right after Jones gave the baby those shots, she stopped breathing and was rushed to the hospital. Jones was given a sentence of 99 years in jail in the year 1985. Her scheduled year of parole was slated to be 2018. Can murder be crueler than this? Number 5. Shashikala Ramesh TANKAR, aka Baby. Can you picture a milk vendor to be one of the most prolific drug peddlers the world has ever seen? The recreational drug mephedrone, popularly called Meow Meow, was allegedly brought to Mumbai, India by a woman who was a milk vendor in the city named Shashikala Ramesh TANKAR, aka Baby. As soon as she realized the profit in selling drugs, she gave up her job as a milk seller and started peddling drugs. Soon she would make a name for herself in the drug circuit. TANKAR's husband and brother were both addicted to drugs, and it was she who used to arrange the contraband for them. That's how she entered the world of narcotics. TANKAR's modus operandi was simple. She used to get drugs from dealers to sell them in Mumbai. She would keep a certain portion of the pure drugs with herself and mix the rest with impure substances known as taka in narcotics jargon. Later, she would return the mixed contraband to the original dealer, saying she could not sell them as they were inferior quality. As the dealers left, she would tip off the police, leading to their arrest. She changed 25 SIM cards to avoid being tracked down after these calls. After dealing in drugs for a couple of decades while gathering property worth over a fortune from the business, Baby TANKAR was finally arrested by the Mumbai police in 2015. Number 4. Myra Hindley. The world has always been a scary place, and the women on this list did nothing to make it better. Here is the story of a notorious woman criminal, Myra Hindley, who was involved in the assaults and murders of children. She worked along with her partner Ian Brady, who too was involved in the crimes. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley were a ruthless predator couple who preyed on the weakest children. Testing her blind allegiance, Brady hatched plans of sexual assault and murder. At least 4 of them were sexually assaulted. The cruel acts performed by the couple were named the Moors Murders, after a rocky moorland in northern England where 2 of the victims' graves were discovered. In 1963, 25-year-old Ian Brady and 21-year-old Myra Hindley started their ambition to commit the perfect murder. In 1963, they claimed their first victim, Pauline Reed, and after a few months, their next victim, and so on. During the time frame of 2 years, the couple claimed another 4 victims. All the victims were buried in shallow graves. The couple took hundreds of pictures near the graves of their victims, possibly to relive the murders for unnatural pleasure. Hindley is characterized as the evilest woman in Britain because of her attempts to secure her release even after confessing her guilt. Later, Hindley claimed she was a reformed woman and no longer a danger to society, but she was never released. She died in 2002 at the age of 60. Ian Brady is still alive and serving his sentence. Number 3. Brenda Delgado. Rather than giving you heart palpitations and sweaty palms, love should actually give you a sense of calm when you find the real thing. But here's a tale of a woman who took the life of her ex-boyfriend's new flame. The woman couldn't move on after her breakup. She decided to murder a woman named Kendra Hatcher, her ex's new girlfriend. After the murder, Delgado left the country for Mexico, where she also holds citizenship. An assortment of Kendra's tall structures was found in the garage. Delgado utilized a road drug specialist named Christopher Liddell Love and offered him money and prescriptions to kill Kendra. Captivated by the proposed offer, he killed her by shooting Kendra in the head. The standard purpose for this kill by Brenda was done considering the way that Kendra had started dating Brenda's ex, Ricardo Paniagua. The jury required under 20 minutes to consider Brenda to be at risk of bad behavior for which she had been charged, as every one of the verification and the conditions were right away against her. Detectives found that Delgado had been tracking her ex's phone, reading his messages, and following him. During Delgado's trial, witnesses testified that she was obsessed with her ex and had previously tried to enlist friends to attack Paniagua, Hatcher, or both. She communicated that the avocation behind moving to Mexico after the murder was because she couldn't bear the expense of an attorney. She was removed from Mexico under the condition that she would not be getting any death penalty. Number 2. The White Widow. Number 2. The White Widow. Be it the robbers, murderers, serial killers, and drug lords, every other day we find someone new entering the crime world. Samantha, also known as the White Widow, first came into limelight in 2005. She's been on the run for almost 15 years. Over these years, she has become one of the world's most wanted fugitives. But how did an unassuming white British woman turn into a global enigma with a deep terror connection? Samantha was born in Northern Ireland and raised outside London. At the age of 17, she converted to Islam after her parents separated. She was the wife of Jermaine Lindsay, who was a terrorist bomber that shook London in 2005. Her husband would go on to blow himself up as one of the suicide bombers of the devastating 7/7 London subway attacks. Samantha claimed that she had no clue about Jermaine's intentions, and that he was apparently a loving husband and father. This claim about being in the dark, however, was strongly contested as time went on. An inquest found that she had made associations with the ringleader of the bombers before the attack. She was also heavily criticized for selling her story to a newspaper for a massive sum of money, wherein she portrayed herself as an ignorant victim. Soon after, she fled the country and was believed to be hiding in Tanzania or Somalia. Once she was untraceable, there were numerous sightings of her around the world, mostly in connection to bombings and brutal terror attacks. Cops who raided her house after she fled found guns, explosives, articles on how to make bombs, and even a self-written poem dedicated to Osama bin Laden in there. All in all, Luthwaite is accused of causing the deaths of more than 400 people. She's been known to train her children in carrying out bombings and following her legacy to spread terrorism worldwide. Interpol is looking for her, and so is the CIA and Kenyan intelligence. Let's hope one day they can finally catch this elusive killer. Number 1. The POQUIANCHES. These female serial killers and murderers are the worst of the worst and give the people the creeps just as much as Hannibal Lecter. It may seem like a story based on fiction, but it's not. It really happened, and in this case, reality surpassed fiction. The POQUIANCHES were history's most feared Mexican women serial killers. The sisters owned a series of brothels in Guanajuato, and they would kill women who were no longer of any use to them. If killing and prostituting women wasn't enough, they buried them alive. It is believed that between 1945 and 1964, they committed around 150 murders. The sisters were a product of a dysfunctional family. They owned several brothels in Guanajuato and Jalisco and were involved in human trafficking, kidnapping teenagers, and forcing them to work as prostitutes. The captives earned debts from the clothes and food provided by the POQUIANCHES and were forced to work in order to pay them back. When a woman turned 25 or, quote, became ugly in their eyes, they would send them away to a verdugo, which is the Spanish name given to a man with the job of torturing. The girls were starved to death and beaten until they couldn't move anymore. After that, they were sent to another place to be buried alive or thrown off of a rooftop. If someone got pregnant, she wasn't of any value anymore. Both mother and child were killed without even a thought given. On conducting a raid of the premises, police discovered 90 buried women, charred fetuses, and human bones. After several months of investigation, confrontation, and interrogations, the Gonzalez Valenzuela sisters were arrested and charged with kidnapping, human trafficking, and aggravated homicide, giving them the maximum penalty at the time of 40 years in prison. However, 2 of them died behind bars before being released. Thanks for watching. What do you think of these dangerous women? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time on The Bad Badger.